Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wednesday afternoon conference call with Trusts Unlimited. This is Jim George speaking. I'm the non-attorney spokesman and facilitator for Trusts Unlimited, and I'd like to thank all of you for taking the time to listen to this call. Today is October 1st, and we're nearing the end of the year, and I think it's going to be pretty eventful for those of us that have been waiting for some length of time for all of this to come to fruition, and I think we're nearing the end. We've felt this way before, to be fair. It seems that it's been 2 steps forward, 1 step back, more often than I'd like to consider, but they're dotting I's and crossing T's, and I think the right players are involved, particularly here in the United States. The current administration and the Treasury Department are kind of no-nonsense people that want to get things done, and I think this is on their schedule, particularly before the midterms. So I think things are looking good. I'm going to move quickly through this call today for the simple reason, and another reason I think this thing may be getting close to the end is the number of individuals that are contacting us to get our trust package and who some of those individuals are. These are individuals in the industry and people not necessarily the same discipline that I'm involved in, but are knowledgeable about currencies. And a lot of these individuals specifically said, well, Jim, I got your package a few years ago, but I'm paying close attention, and it looks like I need to get this trust in place as soon as possible. And that brings me to another point. For those of you that have contacted me and have not as yet heard back, I apologize for that. I'm moving as quickly as I can, but there's only one of me and a greater number of individuals that want our initial trust package. And when this call is over, I'll be right back at it. So I will move quickly through the information I have, but I want to start first with just a brief history of how we got here, because believe it or not, you could make an argument that this goes back a half a century, 50 years. I'm going all the way back to 1970. The Iraqi dinar was worth about $4 at the time. As I've discussed in the past and argued that it can be argued that Iraq per square mile could be the richest country in the world. They have an absolute embarrassment of wealth and natural resources, which a series of imbeciles have managed to squander, but hopefully that's going to be coming to an end. Then in 1979, unfortunately, Iraq elected, presumably, Saddam Hussein, who got a lot of the countries off track in the Middle East. And so the value of the dinar responded in kind by fluctuating. But despite the utter mismanagement, chaos created by that maniac, the Iraqi dinar was still worth about $3.25. But then in the early 90s, Saddam Hussein decided that he was going to invade Kuwait. The United States and a coalition of forces quickly expelled Iraq from Kuwait, and Saddam got his just reward. But in 1992, after all of this dust had settled from this, the Iraqi dinar went into a program rate, meaning it was basically worthless. Now, that's when individuals started to get interested in Iraq, knowledgeable people that understood the program rate that and sanctions that Iraq were suffering were not reflective of the wealth of that country, but were reflective of the country being punished for what had been involved. And for 30 years, we've been dealing with Iraq in this situation, sort of in limbo. But now it's October 2025, and in my humble opinion, the Iraqi dinar is on the verge of reinstituting. The monetary reform, in my opinion, can continue to its fruition and completion without the passage of the 2025 budget. It's often linked to the budget, and it's argued from a number of quarters that we need the passage of the budget in order to have the rate. In my humble opinion, that's not necessarily the case. We could see the reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar just before the passage of the budget, concurrent with the budget, or after the budget. But again, in my opinion, we do not need the passage of the 2025 budget to see the reinstitution of the Iraqi dinar. Why do I say that? I say that because of the banking reforms that are going on pursuant to a protocol established by the Oliver Wyman Group. We're looking at the banking reforms within Iraq to include adoption of international standards and practices, the transition to the digital system, followed by the deletion of the zeros and release of the lower denoms along with a new rate. Now, Oliver Wyman Group has a protocol, and I can only assume that what Iraq is doing is trying to emulate the protocol established, selling the oil with the USD, eventually, in the not-too-distant future, converting that dollar to the IQD, an increased rate in the IQD, closing the parallel market, and again, the release of the lower denoms and the IQD on the Forex. I think this is what's happening. I think it's going to happen in quick order. What the deletion of the zeros means is that the Iraqi dinar roughly against the US dollar would be 0.00085. The deletion of the 3 zeros would make the Iraqi dinar worth 0.85 or 85 cents. I think that it would virtually overnight be worth a slight premium over the dollar, hit the Forex, and in very quick order, reach a Basel IV compliant rate. Now, we know the Iraqi dinar was worth $3.22 when it was placed in the program rate. So I think it's 30 years later, it's very realistic to assume that $3.22 is the floor for what the dinar would be worth. As I've said on previous calls, I have spoken to some currency speculators that told me that they thought the dinar, and of course it's going to fluctuate once it hits the Forex, but they say that they think the dinar reasonably should be worth about $4.85. But I'm sure that all of us would take $3 right now and move on down the road. But this is where we find ourselves today. This has been a very long slog. Some individuals, I think of them lucky, they contact us and they say, well, I just purchased some dinar last week. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, most of our clients have had dinar for over a decade, some more than 20 years, and have been patiently, very patiently waiting for a reinstitution. And here's some individuals that stumbled across the thing. They purchased dinar, and I think they're going to reap the reward in the very near future. And I want to talk a little bit about what this means to us. Some of you, again, have purchased dinar 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Some individuals have done without certain things in order to purchase dinar with the expectation of a reinstitution. We have clients that have very few dinar. We have clients that have hundreds of million dinar and other currencies as well. So we really have individuals ranging from wealthy speculators to people that really have next to nothing and are really, really hoping and praying that the Iraqi dinar could substantially change their financial future. And, of course, I'm most sympathetic to those individuals. But again, in the not-too-distant future, I expect that we'll be going to the bank to exchange our currencies. And imagine if you are that individual that is not a wealthy person, someone living paycheck to paycheck, someone that perhaps has other financial difficulties and they're struggling just to survive. And for each million dinar that they purchased for roughly $1,000, they're going to be able to exchange it for roughly $3, meaning that their $1,000 investment will be worth $3 million. Well, that's almost impossible to believe. As the saying goes, if it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. But this is a very, very unusual situation. Again, we purchased the Iraqi dinar when arguably the richest or one of the richest countries in the world per square mile was placed in a program rate. And now that currency is going to reinstitute and revalue globally at a Basel IV compliant rate. So this could be the largest single transfer of wealth in recorded history. I've looked around and I can't find anything comes close to what we're looking at here. This is a two-step process, though. Step one is to accumulate this wealth. But step two is to protect and preserve that wealth. You're facing three things when you walk out of that bank with your deposit slip. And by the way, when you walk out of that bank, when they want to hand you that deposit slip, you tell them beforehand, no 21-day hold on my money. You're not going to float my money for 21 days. I want a regular, ordinary, legal ability to access my money, and 21 days ain't it. But the negotiation for the exchange is something that we'll discuss when the dinar hits the Forex. But you got three concerns that you got to deal with once you've acquired this wealth. The first is confiscatory taxes. And there are things that we can legitimately do to substantially reduce your tax exposure. But again, those are discussions that we'll have when the dinar hits the Forex. The second thing is bad business deals. Unfortunately, people that acquire a substantial amount of wealth, particularly for the first time in their life, understandably but regrettably make some bad business decisions. So you're going to have to do some serious due diligence, because managing this money is a full-time job and it's an emotional thing to do. So again, the first 2 points are your tax strategies and your due diligence. And the third thing is litigation. Once an individual has acquired a substantial amount of wealth, they're a target for litigation. That's where Trusts Unlimited comes in to assist you. They accomplish this by marketing, and we've been marketing it now for, I guess, over 20 years, our Asset Protection Trust Package. And the way you protect yourself is to establish the trust preemptively and assign your currencies on paper to that trust package. By doing so, you're going to have benefits you cannot enjoy any other way. A self-settled asset protection trust package is the best asset protection, period. LLCs can't do it. Sub-S corporations can't do it. Limited family partnerships can't do it. Revocable trusts can't do it. The only way to have the absolute bulletproof asset protection is through the establishment of a package of this nature. I'm going to touch very briefly on the benefits of this package. First, your privacy and your anonymity. By establishing this trust package, in addition to protecting your privacy and your anonymity, you will make it extremely difficult, or not, if not impossible, for anyone to successfully sue you. And frivolous lawsuits cannot possibly succeed. The second benefit is you're going to be able to successfully avoid IRS scrutiny. Why? Because by establishing this trust package, you will avoid IRS audits, because you don't own the asset. The trust owns the asset. You're merely a beneficiary of that trust. And even if the IRS determined to audit your trust, the only thing they can audit is the reinstitution and revaluation of the currency. That's where the instantaneous wealth came from. Once they understand that, you're done with the IRS. The third benefit here is the trust will allow you to avoid gift tax by pre-RV gifting. Now, many of our clients express an interest and have already gifted substantial amount of currencies to family and friends, but they've not done so outside of the trust. Many of the gifts that they've given, they've done in trust. Why? Because within the trust package is a special gifting subtrust. So if you gift currencies through our subtrust, you avoid the federal gift tax because you're gifting pre-RV currencies. But because you're gifting through the subtrust, you will still have complete control of the post-RV proceeds. Now, this is important if you're gifting to minors, disabled individuals, or just individuals that you feel for whatever reason are unable or unwilling to responsibly manage this windfall profit. And again, I know that no other trust package has this gift subtrust because I'm the one that wrote it. The fourth benefit is this trust will allow you to avoid the cost and delay of probate and the federal estate tax. Again, your trust will allow your estate to bypass the cost and delay of probate, making any inheritance immediately and privately available to your heirs, and it will also allow you to avoid the federal estate tax, which can be as much as 55% of your estate in excess of $12.2 million. Now, how does that work? Because you've done this through the trust, it's a private transaction. No one's aware of it. And because the wealth is in trust for the benefit of others, there's no transfer. It was owned by the trust pre-RV. It remains under the ownership of the trust. It's the transfer of the wealth that triggers the federal estate tax. Since there's no transfer of wealth, there's no federal estate tax. And the last benefit is preemptive asset protection. So by placing your pre-RV currencies in trust, only the value of those currencies at the time of the transfer would ever be subject to civil suit. In other words, you have 10 million dinar. You pay $10,000 for those currencies. You transfer them to the trust. You can only be sued for $10,000 because that's all the currencies were worth at the time of the transfer. Post-RV, you're protected by establishing a series of sub-trusts, meaning that all of the assets that you subsequently purchase, homes, cars, boats, etc., will each be placed in its own separate sub-trust. So if any of those assets, a car, a boat, or rental property, is ever involved in any post-RV litigation, it's only that asset that would be involved in the litigation because all of your other assets are in separate sub-trusts, which under the law are separate legal entities not involved in the litigation, meaning that the plaintiff would have no standing to pursue those separate entities. So these are the benefits of the trust package. And I would strongly suggest that anybody that has currencies and has not at least contacted us to get our initial no-obligation package should do so. I'm going to go to the Q&A in just a moment. But before I do want to give you our contact information because you're going to want to contact us to get our initial package. You can contact us by email or phone and just request our initial package. We will get the package out to you right away. It does contain everything you need if you wish to proceed, but again, you're under absolutely no obligation to do so. Review the package. Contact us if you have any questions. We'll be happy to assist you. If you wish to proceed, it's all right there, and you'll be working directly with me, and we will move as quickly as we can to get your trust in force and your currency is assigned to that trust. And the good news is for all of us is that I doubt we're going to have to wait much longer for this windfall to arrive. Now, you can contact us by email, which is Trusts with an S, Unlimited LLC at gmail.com. That's Trusts with an S, Unlimited LLC at gmail.com. And our phone service, which is 307-274-4122. That's 307-274-4122. Contact us by email or phone. We'll get our trust package out to you right away. Inclusive in the package is my personal phone number. If you need to ask any questions about the application, the process, or any of that, I'll be happy to assist you in any way that I can. Once you receive your trust, you merely execute the trust, and when you've done so, the trust is enforced. Your currencies are assigned to the trust, and all of the benefits that I've just described to you will be available to you, and God willing, we'll all be in the banks in the very near future, and life's going to get very interesting after that. Okay, let's go to our Q&A. I'm going to go ahead and open the Q&A right now. And if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to take them. I'm looking right now to see we had some questions in the Q&A. I don't see them now, but I'm going to wait just a couple of minutes to see if there are any. Oh, here we go. Our first caller is area code 843. That's 843. Go ahead.
Hello. I understand my sister sent me a text message, and she said that Vietnam has contacted the IMF, and they requested to revalue the dong, and the IMF gave them permission to do it.
Wow. Now, you know, it's funny you said that, because I have argued from time to time that we could make the argument that the dong might go even before the dinar. Unfortunately, I'm sitting here preparing for a call, so I haven't been on top of that. But a lot of our clients, and hopefully you inclusive, have dong. I have a lot of dong myself, so that would be very good news. It would be kind of interesting after everyone paying so much attention to the dinar, and the dong slips right by. But I don't care if it's the dinar, the dong, the rupiah, I don't care what it is. A reinstitution of any of these currencies means we go to the bank and we walk out of the bank a different net worth individual. So I can assure you I'm going to be all over that when we get off this call. But that's excellent news if it's true.
Yeah, that's what I heard.
Yeah,
I know it.
And you know, it's funny. I almost got into a little bit about what's going on with the dong, but the dinars make so much traction in the last couple of weeks. I concentrated on that, but a lot of our clients have the two currencies they hold is the dinar and the dong. So at this point, I don't care what goes, just something pop.
I know it. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing.
Well,
because
this could be a hell of a Christmas if it pops.
Yeah, I mean, if the dong is going to revalue or is revaluing now, I would think the Iraqi dinar would be next.
Now, the numbers that a currency speculator had given me, he gave me 480. There's actually, this is several of them. I'm kind of averaging it out. They had the dinar at 485. That doesn't mean it's going to open at 485 or not be higher than that. But after the dust settles, they're saying that they think the Basel IV compliant rate for the dinar should be 485. But what they told me about the dong was 226. So, you know, so if you paid $600 for a million dong and you got $2.25 for it, I mean, that's a hell of a day at the office too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, listen, thanks very much for that news. I'll be all over that as soon as we get off this call, my friend. Okay.
Okay, Jim. Yeah.
Okay. Take care, Larry. All right. Bye-bye now.
Yeah.
Our next caller is area code 347. That's 347. Go ahead.
Yeah, so, okay, now it's already October 1 and it still hasn't been revalued yet. So do you think if it doesn't revalue by next week, it's probably won't revalue until next year?
Anything's possible, but October could be I'll tell you what, October's a good month for us because taxes wouldn't be due for the quarter until January 15th of next year. So if it were to pop any time in October, that does two things for us. It allows the currency to appreciate so that we could exchange it at the highest possible rate. And it also means it gives us plenty of time to ascertain exactly what the tax is. Absent written confirmation from the IRS, we'd have to, of course, pay the ordinary income tax, but it's possible it could be treated as cap gain. And the reason I say that is because the Trump administration and the U.S. Treasury are doing whatever they can to reduce the tax liability for U.S. citizens. And one way to do that is to, once you realize these currencies are reinstituting, is to have the gain taxed as cap gain, even long-term cap gain rather than ordinary income. So, I mean, you know, it's ordinary income unless they say otherwise. But we have, if it happens in October, that gives us plenty of time to petition the powers that be to call it call it cap gain. So that would be icing on the cake if that were to happen.
Now, what about the Iraqi elections? Do you think the Iraqi election is holding back the revaluation until after the election, or would it be on the eve of the election, you think?
I'm of the opinion, this is just my opinion, the elections, the nonsense with Parliament, all that to me is out the door. The only thing that matters to me now and the only thing that's going to determine this is the completion of the monetary reform and the CBI. As a good example would be Vietnam. I mean, Vietnam is still under the umbrella of China, and China does not want Vietnam to be independently wealthy and not be part of their system. So if the dong is going to hit the forex despite China, then the Iraqi dinar can hit the forex despite the pro-Iranian factions in the government that don't want it to ever happen.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure. Bye-bye now. Our next caller is area code 805. That's 805. Go ahead.
Hi, Jim. This is Sid. Could you tell me the gifting trust? If you have a overall bloodline-only trust, can you give a gift to an outside of the family person in that gifting trust?
Yes, that's the purpose of the gifting trust, so that you can make the determinations. The bloodline has more to do with the transfer of the assets within the trust after the settlers have passed away. The gifting subtrust has to do with you as a living settler making determinations about who you're gifting to. The gifting subtrust was established simply to allow the settler, the creator, to gift currencies to whomever they want and still have control of the post-RV proceeds, because there are situations where that's prudent. But it also means that you can gift to whomever you want, irrespective of the bloodline.
Okay. All right. Now, next question is, if you're gifting to somebody who doesn't necessarily have the capacity to take care of things, does the trust pay the taxes for them?
Well, what you would do is, if you're going to gift to an individual like that, you would probably arrange that there's an individual that will be managing that money for their benefit. And that's also a subject we're going to we probably need to discuss that before the dinar hits the forex. Because the difference is this: because you are, as the settler, are not the beneficiary of the money that's been earmarked to the gift subtrust, you are the trustee of that one subtrust, which means you, in essence, will manage the money for their benefit if necessary.
Okay, so then...
Do you understand what I'm saying?
I could invest it any way I choose for them, and
That's
pay the
correct.
taxes also for them.
That's correct, because, again, you are the trustee of that one sub-trust because you're not the beneficiary.
Okay. All right. Real good.
Okay.
That answers my questions. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Certainly. Okay. Bye-bye now. And by the way, one other point about that. I probably don't mention this enough. A lot of our clients are very interested, and it's important to them that they're able to gift currencies to family and friends for any number of reasons, whether it's philanthropic, whatever the reason. But the gift subtrust is a very important vehicle because, again, it eliminates the problem you have with gifting money to individuals that you feel, for whatever reason, simply cannot or will not be able or cannot be trusted to manage that money. So what this gift subtrust allows you to do is to make that pre-RV gift, tax-free gift, and eliminates the problem of the management of that money because you will be, as the trustee of the gift subtrust, the manager of that money. Now, if you're gifting to someone that you're very comfortable they can handle it, then, it's just a nod and a wink and, you assist them. But again, for those individuals that you simply cannot, in good faith, hand them a chunk of money to manage, that's taken care of because, again, you're the trustee of that gift subtrust. Okay, our next caller is area code 561. That's 561. Go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Quick question for you. When we utilize the certificates of units, that you have the 100 units in there,
yes.
Do we initially direct that all to the trust? Like, say, there's one person, It would be 100 units that we assign to the trust, correct?
Yeah, well, it's kind of an arbitrary term that we're using. Once the dinar hits the Forex, now we're going to get into some of the technical operational things within the trust, and the attorneys will be online to deal with all of that. But it's as I said, it's just a way of kind of explaining the ownership or defining the ownership of what's in the trust, and the only thing that's in the trust are the currencies that you've assigned to it. So we'll get into that in more details post-RV, but it's just a mechanism. It's a way of it's just a descriptive term, really.
And it was okay to do it like when we activated the rest of the trust, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Thank you very much.
Sure. Bye-bye now. Our next caller is area code 301. That's 301. Go ahead.
Hi, Jim. It's Larry from Maryland. I've heard comments, and if you could comment on this, that the potential sudden rise of value between either the dinar or the dong could be inflationary for the country, and it could affect their trade ability to trade their goods. Can you comment on whether those are material issues for this?
Yeah, an increase in money supply is inherently inflationary. That's true. There will be an inflationary issue. It's estimated that anywhere from 10 to 15 million Americans hold dinar. The average denarian holds 2 to 3 million dinars. So if you do the math at $3, you can see the amount of money that would be coming in. And it could have an inflationary impact. However, I know this is a rather selfish way to put it, but it shouldn't have an inflationary impact on denarians for the simple reason that whatever the inflationary impact is, it's dwarfed by the magnitude of the wealth that you've acquired. So it's not, frankly, going to be an issue at all, or shouldn't be, for denarians.
So it wasn't really that. It was for the country of Iraq or Vietnam that if their currency is suddenly much more valuable, they can't necessarily sell their products to other countries because it's like China undervalues and they sell now their products. It's more expensive to buy Vietnamese products, was the statements people were making. Is that a factor? And then the concern would be they would withhold the rise in the value because they didn't want to see either of those two effects.
I don't know. I don't see that at all.
Okay.
The problem they have is purchasing power. They need to. Yeah, it could be inflationary, but they can't buy anything. Their currency is not worth anything. So, what's your choice?
Okay.
You know, I have little or nothing to purchase goods and services, or now I have as much money as I need, and those goods and services cost a little more. I mean, you know, pick your poison. I'm option B all the way.
Okay, so it does make more sense that they would want to increase their value and go through with the revaluation.
Well, if that were not the case, why does the government have to keep promising to citizens, we promise you we're going to get it done. We promise you. Why would they be having those conversations if it was not good for the citizens?
Okay. Just wanted to get your take on that. Thank you.
Sure. All right. Bye-bye now. Well, that was our last caller for this afternoon. Again, thanks so much for taking the time to listen to this call. If the things are of interest to you, particularly at this particular juncture, I would strongly suggest you contact us to get our initial no-obligation package. It does contain everything you need if you wish to proceed, but you're under no obligation to do so. We'll assist you in every way possible once you've received the package. You can contact us either by email or phone. Our email address is Trusts with an S, Unlimited LLC @gmail.com, and our phone service is 307-274-4122. Contact us. We'll get our package out to you just as quickly as possible. Our next scheduled call is, of course, next Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Certainly, if something of a dramatic nature were to happen between now and then, we'll try to get out an emergency email and schedule an emergency conference call. But failing that, we'll be back next Wednesday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Thanks so much for listening. Have a great week. God bless.